All right, we're recording now.
Okay.
Hopefully I can edit it.
You know, if I mess it up, you just have to bear with me because I've never actually done this before. I just figured this out like in the last 5 minutes.
Oh, that's reassuring.
Just remind me to sign out.
Service is over at 7:30, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming. As you guys know, yeah, I'll tell you. No, seriously though. I'm Vince Cunningham. I'm on the safety ministry. Been on the safety ministry for about a year now. Been part of North Coast for about 6 years. So just laid in the shadows for a while, and then finally decided that I'd get involved. So funny story actually about how that happened was my son actually stepped up first, and he was 10. No, he was 11 at the time, and he said he wanted to be helping his little sister in her pre-K class. So he rogered up. He went through the whole interview process, and it was amazing. And so he's just a natural born leader. But anyways, a little bit more about myself. I've been in the Navy for about 19 years now, so I'm getting close to retirement. I'm starting to really look forward to it, and I'm just kind of getting my toes wet and figuring out what I'm going to do afterward. You know what I mean? But this assignment it's for Azusa Pacific University for my Bachelor of Applied Studies. I'm in a Capstone course right now, and we had to pick an issue, okay? And the issue it could be anything. And for me, I wanted to, well, actually, I worked with my professor to pick the issue. We had a FaceTime chat, and being on the safety ministry and being aware of these kinds of things and going through these kinds of training, we thought it'd be a good idea to go ahead and pick this as our assignment, so as our issue, excuse me. So we picked active shooter, and then we had to get the stakeholders. So in this situation, San Marcos, Escondido, that's you guys, that's the pastors, Jay, everybody, and Bruce, obviously you're a big part of this place. So again, thanks for coming. Mm-hmm. All right, so this isn't actually active shooter training. It's actually, why I think we should have active shooter training here specifically. So, and actually at all of them. And Mike Hanks, actually, since he went down to Rancho Bernardo, has actually already started with this as well, just so you know. Cool. All right, so I'll give you guys some statistics. So between 2000 and 2013, there were 160 active shooter incidents that occurred in the U.S. That's a lot. In 13 years, over 150 of these things, okay? When you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, maybe it's not that much, maybe 10 per year or something like that, but it's still a lot, especially when you start looking at how many people were killed and how many lives were ruined and whatnot. So of those, 557 people were wounded and 486 people were killed. That is so many people, okay? All but 2 involved a single shooter. So think about that for a second. If you're going to have one of these situations, it is more than likely going to be one person, okay? In 64 of the incidents, the shooters committed suicide, 54 at the scene of the crime, okay? So 60 out of 160 decided that they were going to end it when they were done. All right, moving on. So considering recent events, all right, churches in the U.S. are taking active security measures to protect their congregants from active shooters. All right, North Coast especially, we're probably leading the way, I think, in San Diego County, but I don't attend the other services, so I don't know. I just know what a good job we're doing, especially on the main campus. It's difficult to find material that covers this kind of stuff because it's not like there's a business for it. You Google it, you find out what other churches are doing, they're putting their stuff online, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want to use. All right. As you guys know, gun violence is an epidemic in the U.S., and it's only a matter of time before we have another situation. You know what I mean? On March 15th, a man walked into the mosque in New Zealand, as you guys know, and he killed 51 people. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw the video, but the guy just drove his car there. He got out of his truck. He walked right in, right by people in the parking lot, and he just opened fire. He stepped back out from the main sanctuary, reloaded, stepped back in, and kept shooting people. What everyone did was they just kind of huddled on the left and huddled on the right together, and they didn't know what to do. No one kind of took charge, and so they were just a pile of bodies that were just getting shot at. All right. On April 27th, we had the college student go into the synagogue in Poway and open fire And he had 10-round magazines in accordance with state law, okay? And I believe he had a bullet button rifle as well. But it jammed, something went wrong, but he still ended up killing one person, as you guys know, and maiming the head priest. So churches should consider providing potentially life-saving training to its employees, its employees. Just realized I made that mistake. All right, so it might save lives. Okay. All right. Moving on. All right. Not now. Okay, here we go. Moving on. All right. So in the military, we're trained to be hard targets. Okay. So what does that mean? So a hard target is someone who isn't necessarily walking around looking over their shoulder every 5 seconds, you know, walking through Stater Brothers, they're scoping everybody out. But it is definitely someone who maybe doesn't always go the same way home, you know, or maybe switches things up a little bit, or maybe just is a little extra cautious. Is that the same BMW that was behind me 4 miles ago? So it's just a matter of like just paying attention and just being aware, you know, especially again in today's day and age where some of the church leaders can be chosen and picked for these kinds of things. So it definitely pays to kind of model the military lifestyle and just kind of keep that in mind. We're all taught that everywhere we go. Every command I've been to, it's been, hey, make sure you're paying attention when you're getting home late at night. Make sure you look around your house when you get out. Make sure all the lights are on. Make sure you lock the doors. Just kind of those things where you're making yourself a harder target, you know. It doesn't mean, like I said, walk around fearful and paranoid that an attack is imminent, okay? Yeah, sure, it could happen, but, you know, simply being mindful that the threat exists, okay? For churches, it's active shooter, okay? It might be a loud, rowdy person, okay? But the safety ministry is, you know, qualified to deal with that. But a situation, an active shooter situation, that's a whole other level, okay? We think that church staff and volunteers should know what to do as well, okay? So the safety team supports all of our North Coast church campuses by providing security and medical support. Our team serves in a discreet and respectful manner to ensure our church community has a safe place to worship. That's straight off our website, okay? And then Larry Osborne said, in a day and age where security has become increasingly important to folks who visit a church, sporting event, shopping mall, or any large group gathering, we're blessed to have such a dedicated group of men and women to provide safety at North Coast Church, especially here where the team leads are typically a law enforcement officer who's off duty and is armed at the time. So it's the safety minister's job to train and prepare for the situations. However, should San Marcos create our own emergency planning checklist? You know, would it behoove us to look at some of these things and just kind of ask ourselves these questions? Have we created a written formalized emergency response plan? We might already have something, you know, in the computers that, you know, we haven't looked at for a while. Do we train our leaders and staff how to respond to emergencies? Do we train them how to respond to different types of emergencies? Is active shooter one of them? Do we train our ushers and greeters on emergency response? Okay, because those are going to be the people that we're going to want to take lead should something like this kind of happen, if possible. Okay, in an active shooter event, our safety ministry would jump into action and would work together to stop the threat. However, there would be casualties, confusion, and miscommunication. There's no way around this. Okay, I served at the Tim Tebow event at the main campus, and one of the special needs kids fell in the main sanctuary, and the lady who reported it wasn't reporting it right where it was. So we were all confused, trying to get there, trying to help, and by the time we got there and figured out what was going on, it resolved itself. But the point was that the verbiage and the terminology and the location, etc., north, south, east, west, it was off. So, and that was just on the safety ministry, you know, and that's with having the cameras and everything else like that. But something to keep in mind. So maybe hold some radio training to describe the 5 W's, you know, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be just, hey, show up like when the band is practicing, maybe the safety ministry could show up and do some training. Walk around the buildings and just, where are you? I'm here. Okay, explain what that means. Who, what, where, when, why. You know, like a 30-minute training day. Create an emergency action plan and maybe even an active shooter scenario. I know myself and Mike Hanks, we work together to make that happen. I know a couple other guys that wouldn't have a problem setting that up either. And then communicating that plan to the employees, training the employees on what to do, and then run, hide, fight. This is like the new thing, right? Run, hide, fight, everybody knows it. If you don't know, the FBI put out a video and we could show that as well. And the LA County Sheriff has also made a video, and they're really good. And you know, they've been dramatized and they go through and they kind of get your heart racing and they get you thinking about what's going on and what would you do and how would you handle it. So the Department of Homeland Security recommend the development of plans and periodic drills. Okay, that's mostly for schools, okay, because it's typically schools that are the targets, right? These are where a lot of our stuff is happening. So what we need to do is take that learning experience from them and apply it to our situation and, you know, scale it down a little bit. But maybe lock specific doors in emergency, for example, the children's sanctuaries. Don't know if that would really help so much where there's all that glass and you can just shoot it out and jump through. So maybe even invest in bulletproof glass. They have it. It's probably really expensive, but it might be worth looking at. It might not be that much for 2 panes of glass. You know, a simple phone call or email. Issue keys to specific people before the service or assign responsibilities if keys are already issued, which I know a lot of people already have keys. Maybe giving responsibilities to this person. Okay, you hear gunfire, hey Eric, you're gonna go here, Bruce, you're gonna go there, and then we're all gonna meet here, or something like that. And then assign a secondary person in the event someone's incapacitated. So safety ministry, you know, I put out, oh man, Bruce has been hit, he's down. Who else can lock this up? Okay, Eric, you're on it now. You've got Bruce's job as well. So at Sandy Hook Elementary School, the only people who were killed were those who weren't on lockdown. And so basically there was a sub that day in that class, and that sub didn't have the keys or know what to do. And those are the people that got killed that day. So leadership familiarize themselves with the findings of various agencies that have come as a direct result of numerous shootings. So there's a lot of information out there. You can drive yourself crazy reading all this stuff. I mean, honestly, especially if you have access to your old college and you've got access to all of that stuff, your old library, all this stuff is in there. But take advantage of social media. So during emergencies, people flock to social media, right? To get the word out and to find out what's going on. So maybe we could figure out a way to kind of tap into that as well. Like, hey, North Coast employees, this is what we would want you to do. If you could get to your phone, you know, obviously call 911, but someone's gonna call 911. We don't need 100 people calling 911. What we do need is 100 people saying, he's in the men's sanctuary, you know, get the kids out of here. You know, if everyone else is just hiding and they could be running and grabbing the kids and running out to the main street, then, you know, if we could get the word out on the Instagram or something like that, that might be a way to do it. So find ways to tap in information and communicate it in a coordinated effort to save lives. All right, so applying this stuff. So how are we gonna do this? Maybe give active shooter training to the church staff and maybe even the volunteers. You know, hey, on one specific day, we're all gonna come in here, we're all gonna sit in here, watch the FBI's 5-minute run, hide, fight video, and then me and Mike are gonna do a drill, and then we're all gonna, you know, take what we can from it, right? Provide handouts. Maybe we could go over again, like you provided me in the email, the building, you know, the specific exits and the specific room numbers and stuff like that. You know, it's stuff that we take for granted. We don't look at it every day. You know, we know where we're at, but maybe we don't know that that's actually room 3, you know, that kind of thing. So again, whole radio training, the 5 W's, building familiarization terminology, assign the responsibilities, and have a drill. All right, so these are all the references that I got the stuff from. This is our main book here, Christian Reflections on the Leadership Challenge. And then these were all the things that I pulled from to kind of put the last 8 weeks of assignments together. So it is basically a bunch of papers that had to be written, and then it had to build to the final capstone, which was this. So thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. You guys have any questions or any input?
You want us to ask you questions?
Sure, absolutely. I might not know the answer, but I could get the answer for you.
Of the 160 active shootings in 13 years, how many were at religious institutions? You know?
Not that many.
I know the Rock Church every year has an annual safety meeting for church security. They put it's a whole weekend thing.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I know they have, because you're talking about, well, we should have something organized. I know they do that. And then three, you had questions. You had four questions, and I didn't know if you're asking us what we thought, but it seems to me, if you're on the safety ministry, those are answers that you should know. So I was a little confused as to if you knew the answers to those, or it's just general conversation.
Right, and that's a great point you bring up. So what I did before I held this training was I called Ron Hardy.
Exactly.
I spoke about that earlier, and because I didn't want to just do this, right? I needed to kind of get some top cover. Hey, Ron, this is my assignment for class. This is what I want to do. What do you think? And he was like, absolutely. Mike's already doing it in Rancho Bernardo, do it in San Marcos, and see what they think.
Yeah.
So those questions were for you.
Yeah.
Those questions were, do we have an emergency response plan besides, I'm talking about EAP, I'm talking about besides a fire drill.
Yeah.
But, when's the last time we went over earthquake drill? And then integrating all this stuff and active shooter into that, and how would we do that?
Yeah.
Could we figure out a way? Okay, go. Everyone just take charge out this door. We could probably get 15 people out that door and running up this whole side so fast, but it takes muscle memory. When I was an instructor in Miramar at the Marine Corps base, I taught the pilots how to survive helo crashes in the water, right? It was called the dunker. And what it would do is just a mock helicopter would drop in a pool and flip upside down. Well, their goggles would be all blacked out. They'd be strapped into their chairs, and they had to wait until the violent motion stopped before, they could do anything. So at this point, they've been holding their breath for almost a minute. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And now these guys are kicking each other in the face. They're all rat race for the door. I had guys pull my face mask off. I'm trying to help them. You know what I mean? So, but in time, it's muscle memory. And what happens is the guys come back after they crash their helos in the water, and they tell the pilots and the students going through the training, hey, listen to this stuff, it works, because it becomes muscle memory. So, they grab the side of the chair, they wait for it to stop, and then they know where they're at, because it's upside down, backwards in the dark, and now it's full of water. But having that main point of reference tells them where they're at. And so it would be the same kind of thing here, where we would have everyone in the sanctuary, or pretend that the sanctuary was full. We would hear gunshots or someone jump in. What could we do? Could we have the main ushers grab 2 doors and open them and just start yelling, get out this way, out this way? Yeah, sure, they risk getting shot, but the alternative is what happened in New Zealand, right? Where everyone gets shot, So staff, this is aimed specifically at you guys here to go over with staff.
I don't know, because I'm just the facilities, but is an active shooter a concern of the church?
I do know that North Coast is a little bit lenient on most of this stuff in terms of security and cameras, and we've been trying to push forward that whole agenda in the last 2-3 years with Ron Hardy coming on. And I know we've never had any official training on it, but I think it's something that's starting to be talked about. Even something as simple as putting barricades up when we own both buildings here, so that we can keep a car from driving through, especially on Sunday nights when we have people and stuff. I know that's like kind of on Ron's plate, just to get that information out there. So,
and we have a lot of military people,
yeah,
and that know how to stand those kind of watches.
Yeah,
that could be on the safety ministry or on facilities, that could stand at the barricades and know what to look for, know how to enforce that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
So, just taking advantage of our people, you know what I mean? What else? We had, let's go back to it. There's one more back. Yeah, right here, right? Yeah, so do we train anybody? Do we ever go over training?
See, that's why I didn't know if you're asking me, or if that's a joke, because I don't know of any. I've never had any kind of safety training. Not on this campus, not
So,
this facility. No.
In the Navy, we have active shooter training. I believe it's twice a year.
Yeah.
We have fraternization training. We have sexual harassment training. I mean, they drill this stuff into us. And I always found it ironic, actually, because if you think about it, who's going to be an active shooter at a military installation?
military.
probably a disgruntled vet, right? So we're training that person what we're going to do in the event of emergency.
Yeah.
But in this situation, it's totally different.
Right.
In this situation, we're teaching you guys what we've learned, and we can get these videos and these PowerPoints, these things have already been made, and show them to you guys. And even just watching it once in your whole career, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe when you get hired on, hey, this is one of the things that you should be aware of.
Right.
It's not something that happens very often, but it can happen. Here's a video. Watch this video. Do you have any questions? You know, this is what we have. This is basically what we would do. You know, an emergency action plan, it's written out exactly like it says. You know, in a fire, bang, 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 boom. Active shooter, bam, 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 boom. We would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, and just teaching you what we would do, it would be muscle memory.
Right.
You know, and just saying it, just going over it. And that's why Ron said, hey, you know, it's up to you guys, really. It's up to Jay, you, Rob, Mike, all those guys, Bruce, everyone just kind of getting together and going, what do we want to do here?
Yeah.
You know, that's how I made it sound, you know?
Cool.
And then if you want more and want to go higher, obviously, you know, you can do that.
I just think some of the basics, like I have a little bit of training in this, and it's like situation awareness. You know, it's like walking the halls of a church. You know, who doesn't fit? You know, or what is he doing that is not what a normal person would be doing at the time? You know?
Right.
You know,
Like there was a day when someone pulled me aside and said, hey, can you come check this out? And I walked in, and what it was a guy with long hair, and he had he had a gun shirt on. I can't remember. It was like Glock or something.
oh, that's a good one then.
And yeah, it is. And although I won't carry Glock, but that's the topic of another discussion. But no, he was at the back, and he was very twitchy.
Yeah.
And he was very he kind of kept looking over his shoulder and doing one of these. And so his behavior, his body language was kind of off.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, and don't repeat this, but I think he's dating or married to the drummer. And then it was just like, wow, you know, you can't judge a book by its cover. You never know, you know. And but of course, the untrained eye, it was kind of but that was good. That's the kind of things where we want to be looking out for, because it is a little off, and it should draw your attention. You know what I mean? A lot of the stuff is common sense, you know. But like I said, even just going over it once would be enough, I think, personally, but it's up to you guys.
Well, the first big step that we did right now is the camera system that we just had installed, so we can look at in the auditorium, we can look in all the chapel, wherever there's a group of people, and we can start to, you don't even have to go into those rooms now to zoom in and see, okay, that person's looking like they're acting strange, what's going on there. So trying to be proactive about that instead of reactive.
Clutch.
So
Yeah.
Does anybody watch those cameras?
we're working on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Good stuff.
So again, thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I know it was kind of last minute, but it all worked out, I think. And
Okay.
I'm stoked. So thanks again.
Okay.
Yay. All right.
Hey, don't be applauding. That'll be on the film.
Oh, aren't we supposed to apply?
What? No clapping?
Oh, yeah!
I wasn't recording.